A warm welcome to this webinar on reporting in the iOLF system. My name is Antoine, and I will be your host this morning. I'm not alone though. I have the great pleasure to be assisted by my team of fellow officers from the finance unit. We have Anne, we have Camille, we have Vincenzo. They will join me later on the session. We also have Ilaria, who will be behind the scenes moderating your questions. From the policy team, we have Verena, who will also answer all questions related to policy. And finally, from the communication team, we have Petra, who is the person who makes sure that everything goes as planned in this webinar. So you're really in good hands. Now, this webinar really is for you. You have one thing in common: either you are partners, either you are lead partners, but the vast majority of you are from fourth call projects, which means that the first reporting period has ended by the 31st of January, which also means that you have 3 months to compile your partner report and to submit the joint progress report to the joint secretariats. So really, the purpose of this webinar is to help you achieve this goal, to guide you through the different sections of the partner report, and really to answer your questions. In order to do that, we will show you some videos. There will be 5 of them. And after each videos, you will have the opportunity to ask questions, and we will address these questions after the videos within Q&A sessions. We have decided to organize this webinar into 4 big sessions. The first one will be quite general. It will be about the iOLF dashboard and the partner contact details section, which we received quite a lot of questions about, so this is something we wanted to address. Then in the second session, we will focus on one very specific section of the partner report, which is the policy instrument section. On the third session, this would be a big one, where we will address all the sections of the partner report where you should report the eligible expenditure. On this third session, we'll show you a couple of videos, not only one. And finally, on the last session, what we will do is that once your partner report has been filled in, we'll address with you the next steps and what to do after that. So before we get started, a few practicalities. On your screen, you have on the right-hand side of your screen a toolbar with different tabs. I will not go through all of them, but give you maybe the most important ones. The first one is about the audio. In case you have issues for hearing me, if the sound is not good, I suggest you go there and adjust the sound. In case you still have issues to hear me properly, if you don't hear me at all, basically, you can go to the chat tab, where you can ask the people from the chat, I need help, I cannot connect, and they will assist you. Maybe one last tab of this toolbar is the most important one. It's the one which is called questions, and this is where you have the opportunity, where you can and where you actually should ask all of the questions you have related to the partner report. So here are the most important things about this toolbar. Now, what I would tell you before we get started really with the first video is that this webinar is supposed to last about 1 hour. The videos which will be broadcasted to you are already available on the website, and this webinar will also be recorded and we'll also publish it on the website within next week. So in case you missed a part of the webinar, in case you would like to share it with other partners, in case you loved it so much, want to watch it again, you have the opportunity to download it from the website, or at least to check it from the website within next week. I suggest we get started with a quick poll on questions that we will ask you right away. So normally on your screen now you should have this first poll, which indicates the first question: have you ever attended a webinar on reporting from Interreg Europe? So in here it's very simple. You pick the answer that corresponds to your situation. Yes or no. Let me have a quick look at the people who answered so far. So we have a lot of participation. I see that more than 180% of the votes. Okay, 83, let's go maybe to 90. No, 85, no. I'll give you 5 more seconds and then I suggest we close. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we can close now. So from the result of this poll, so this is good. Let's see how we make out of it. I hope you still have a lot of questions to ask us, so feel free. Now, without further ado, let's go into it and we'll launch the first video. I will see you after to discuss the first questions you have.
This is our reporting system, iOLF. You can access the system from iolf.eu. And this is the login page. Once you are here, you need to fill in your email and your password. If you don't have a user account, please contact your lead partner that will create a user account for you. If you have forgotten your password, please click the button Forgot Password to receive a new one. Once you have logged in the system, this is the landing page that you will see. In this page, you have different tabs. The tabs Project History shows you the application form and the progress report that are at the moment open or have been submitted so far. The Document Center tab shows you all the documents related to your project. On the right side of this dashboard, you can see the Partner Contact Detail tab, where you can find your contact detail. Then there is the Policy Instrument Progress tab, where the policy instruments are listed. Then there is the Partner Reports tab, in which you can create your partner report. Finally, there is the Project Users tab, where all the users working on the project are listed. As you can see here, User Administration, this is the button that the lead partner will use to create your user account.
You can see and modify your partner contact details in the contact details section. You can see that there is a small triangle here at the right hand side, and if you click on it, a list of versions of your contact details will appear. Even if it's the first time that you are updating your contact details, you might see several versions already. And they correspond to the application form versions that were submitted by your project. So to update your contact details, you need to click on one of the rows here. Normally we would select the latest version. We click on it and we arrive to the partner contact details section. Here you can see all the details of your organization, and if you notice that there is some information that should be updated, you can click on New Version, and this will open the tab for editing. For instance, we can change the street. We save.
and we click on Submit. This has updated the contact details, created a new version of contact details that we will be able to use in the partner report. If you are a lead partner, you will have two additional tabs, Manager and Bank. Here you will be able to edit the additional contact details that are required from the lead partner. So in the Manager tab, you can edit the Project Coordinator, Financial Manager, and Communication Coordinator contact details. And in the Bank tab, you can edit the bank details. You can do it in the same way we have done it for the Partner tab, just by clicking on New Version, modifying the contact details, and then by clicking on Submit.
The partner contact details section is the only place where you can edit the contact details. You can then use the modified contact details in your partner report or in the application form in case of a request for change. Let's see how it works in the partner report. In your partner report, you will see a contact details tab. You actually don't edit your contact details here. What you can do here is to select the version of the contact details from the drop-down menu here on the right-hand side. If none of the versions that you see here corresponds to the current your current contact details, you need to create and submit a new version of the contact details, but not here. It has to be done on your dashboard from the specific contact details section. If you know that you have created a new contact details version but you cannot see it here, it means that you haven't submitted it. So again, you need to go back to the dashboard, to the contact details section, and submit the version that you want to select here for your partner report. Let's select the version, and you see that the contact details tab is automatically pre-filled, and all that's left for us to do is to click on Save. If you are a lead partner, sometimes you might need to change the contact details of your partner or your contact details in the application form. However, you will never do the change directly in the application form. You will always do it from this section, Partner Contact Details. So you will change your contact details or your partner contact details here. You will submit them, and then you will go to the application form to section V1. You can see that in section B.1, the fields related to the contact details are non-editable. So the way to update the contact details to the newest version is to go to the drop-down menu here, click, select the newest version. The contact details are updated, and you click on Save.
And now we're back for the first Q&A session. I'm really happy to have Camille, my fellow finance officer, with me. Hi, Camille.
Hi, Antoine.
Let's get your first questions we have received so far. The first question is from James from Northern Ireland. Why do we change the contact detail? What's the purpose of that?
Well, it can happen that there is some modification to make in the contact details. For instance, if there is a change of the name of the legal representative of your organization, or if there is a change in the address, and you want, of course, to update the contact details, then it's a good reason to do. And you can do it as it was explained in the video.
Okay, great. And other questions we received was from Emma from France. She asked us about the correspondence between the contact details section in iOLF and on the website. Maybe you can tell me a little bit more about it.
Yeah, when you update the contact details in iOLF, this information is then automatically transferred into your website. But an important thing that you should keep in mind is that it's not immediate. It takes a few, it takes a bit of time. So it's normal if in the first place you don't see immediately the change. Let's say that you need a few days before seeing the change in the website.
There's a slight delay.
Exactly.
I see. Okay. On contact details such, there was not so many questions, so we really encourage you to ask as much as you want. This is your opportunity for you. Before we move to the next video on policy instrument, there was one last from Gabor from Hungary. He asked us, he explained to us, okay, I have updated my contact details in the partner contact details section. I changed the name of the new staff who just arrived. I hit save and still I see that it's not updated on the partner report. Can you maybe help, Gabor?
Yeah, actually, it's an interesting question that we often receive. And I would say that the first thing to check is if you really clicked on the button submit, because it's not only a matter of clicking on the saving, which is the first step, but then you need to submit. If you don't do so, the new version that is created will not appear in the partner report where you can select the version of the contact details. So first thing, if you notice any problem with the contact details that the new version you created does not appear, I would say go back to the contact details section and check that you really clicked on the submit button.
Yeah, this should really become a reflex. You update, you save, and then you submit. Always save and submit to make sure you don't forget anything in the way. I think this is it for the first section about the contact details. Let's go into the second video about another section of the partner report, which is the policy instrument section. So let's see you after the next video.
In addition to the partner report, which includes the financial information, every partner should report on the progress made with the policy instrument. To do so, you go to your dashboard and you scroll down to see on the right-hand side the policy instrument progress. You can open here the policy instrument report. There's one report per semester, which is in line with the joint progress report, and the report covers all the policy instruments. You can create the report whenever you want, and it can be done by any partner. Now it created report on policy instruments for PR2 and also for PR3 because we are already in semester 3. Anyway, now we are interested in the reporting for progress report 2, so we select the report on policy instrument for PR2. First, you can see the overview of all the policy instruments with the respective partners. So let's say we are partner 2, we are responsible for policy instrument 2, so we select this policy instrument. In the upper part we see all the information and the general features which was already provided earlier and which is now blocked. When we scroll down to the subsection policy change, we can actually report on any achievements. So let's say in this semester we achieved the first policy change. We select here yes, and the text fields become editable. So we fill in the text here, and when we are done we save. And in order to make sure that we did not forget any mandatory field, we can check via this button. No errors found, so everything seems to be filled in correctly. We can go back to the list and we see here a green check sign, which means that the reporting for this policy instrument is completed. The information filled in this part is transferred automatically to the joint progress report, and when all partners completed the information, so basically when all the policy instruments have the green check sign here, the lead partner can log this section for editing.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the live discussion. I hope you found the video really interesting. I have also the pleasure to welcome Verena on stage. She's from the policy unit. Hi Verena.
Hey, good morning. Hello.
Actually, this second session and Q&A discussion will be interesting for me as well, because as finance officer, I do not know everything there is to know about the policy instrument section. So I think that I'm going to learn as much as you are, if you don't know more than I do already. Let's go. First question, we received a few questions. First of all, about the advisory partners. Are they required to fill in the policy instrument section?
Yes, that's a very good question. And the answer is no. Because the report on the policy instruments, it's based on the application form. And I mean, we require a report on every policy instrument that is being addressed by the project. And since the advisory partner, well, the nature of the advisory partner is that they do not address a policy instrument in the project. So therefore, no reports on policy instruments needed.
Okay, thank you. Let's say you are a partner, you're about to fill in your partner report, and then you have this section on policy instrument. How do you submit the report on the policy instrument?
Yes, so in iOLF, actually, like you as a partner, when you work on the report on policy instruments, you do not really have to submit it, because the information that is filled in there, it will be, let's say, transferred automatically into the joint progress report.
I see.
And so there's no need to submit it. It appears there automatically. Yeah, and then I think the lead partner can further work on it if needed. Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting point. What is exactly the lead partner rights? Can it have a look at the other partner policy instrument section? Can he make some modifications maybe, or overwrite the information they provided?
Yes, indeed. Maybe also one, I mean, I will answer this question, and also another point. So when you see the report on the policy instruments, it comes as a block. So there's all the policy instruments of the project in there, meaning that the partners can click into it and they can see also what the others write. But they, I mean, yeah, they can, I mean, they should not, but they could even modify it if they wanted, but they should focus obviously on their own policy instrument. And then when the lead partner clicks into the joint progress report, he will see also all the information that has been filled by the partners, like in real time, like real time, yeah. And the lead partner can indeed also further edit, overwrite the information if needed. The lead partner can block for editing the whole report. So this is a tool we give at hand for the lead partners, basically to help you to compile all the information. We always recommend you to work, let's say, with internal deadlines. You give a deadline to the partner. To tell them, okay, by this date we want you to fill the report on policy instruments, and then when it's done, like the lead partner can log it, can look at it, like let's say take all the time, read it. If needed, the lead partner can modify it, or he can even reopen it again for the partners to tell them, look, we're not happy, maybe you can improve this on that if needed. So this is, let's say, there's also different ways how lead partner can make use of this tool.
I see, I see.
Yeah.
Maybe one last question before we close is one from Michel from Flanders. He asked us about the policy instrument section, and I think this is a very good, very interesting question, because most of you are fourth call project, sorry. This will be your first progress report. So this is the beginning stage of your project, and at the beginning there is maybe not a lot of policy change. Do you have to submit, do you have to fill in your policy instrument section in the partner report when there's actually no policy change which has occurred yet?
Yes, the report on policy instruments, it's part of the progress report, so it's due like every 6 months. However, of course, we understand that there may not be a lot of content yet at this stage, because I mean, obviously you're only at the end, like, okay, at the beginning of semester 2, but very early stage of the project implementation. So it's fine, in particular at this early stages in PR1, PR2, if there's, let's say, not really any content information. But later on, this section is becoming more and more important during the implementation of the project. So from, let's say, PR3 onwards, we would always expect, let's say, some more content related information. And maybe if I can add one point also here, in the first progress report, it's very important that every partner goes really there and has a, let's say, proper look, because what is expected here is that you fill in the what we call general features. So it's basically information about the geographical coverage. And this information is very important for us, because we use it later on to geolocalize the results, to draw some statistics and so on. So yeah, we would really appreciate if you could go there, have a careful look and fill it out very careful. carefully. The good news is once it's done in PR1, you don't have to do it again later on. But this is why it's so important to do it now properly, because later on, if it needs to be changed, it can be quite difficult for us.
I see. Okay, thanks a lot, Verena. We also have one question from the chat, which is actually rather interesting, from Mateusz. Is it always a necessity to make change in the policy instrument? Then Mateusz gives some example. Can you, sometimes there's no need to do so to make a real difference for SMEs, for instance. Can you please explain why it is so important?
Is it always to make? Okay, I think you referred to what we call the policy change. Yeah. Well, yes and no. So it's true that the what we call in our jargon a policy change. It's, let's say, it's we have quite a clear definition about it. So what we want to see is
to share it with
what we want to see is that there's an impact on the policy instrument, either on its governance or on the actual structure of the text of the strategy or the operational program or whatever the policy instrument is, or it can also be under this funding scheme, under this policy, new projects have been approved, and all this is thanks to the cooperation in your project. Now, this is what we call a policy change. Now, we understand that it's not always easy to achieve. Sometimes this change needs more time, or like partners tell us, okay, at the end we achieved like to impact the policy instrument, but only at the end of the project, like after the end of the project, for instance. So all this can happen, we understand. So in this case, it's true that you cannot report yet a policy change as such, but we are very interested to hear about everything that's going on. So maybe the partner have already, like really important meetings with the stakeholder, with the managing authorities. They have maybe a written commitment. They signed something like a memorandum of understanding. I don't know what. So there can be lots of interesting, let's say, developments ongoing that may lead, or well, shall lead at the end of the day to a policy change. But let's say during the project, we are very interested to learn about it, and it's exactly the spot where you can provide this information in the report and policy instruments.
Okay, thanks.
So there's this question which is asked, did you improve this policy instrument? And you can answer yes or no. And depending on your answer, there's a new text field that appears, and this is where you can provide the information. Even if you answer no, you can provide information about ongoing, let's say, developments.
Okay, so not to worry if you cannot report policy change directly in the first semester, but what I take away with me from what you just said is provide us with an update of the situation. If the change has not been completed or achieved so far, it's okay, it's fine, but at least help us understand what you did to go towards this policy change.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great, fantastic. Now, thank you for all the questions. We have the third topic coming up, which is pretty massive. It's to guide you through the different sections of the partner report when it comes to reporting eligible expenditure. We decided to divide it into two different parts. The first part about staff costs and travel and accommodation budget line. You will have the first video right away, and there will be a break where we will discuss and address the questions you may have about this. And then in a second part, it will be about the other two budget line, namely external expertise and equipment if applicable. So let's go into it. Let's see the next video, and we'll see you after that.
To create a partner report, please click on the Partner Report button. The Summary tab will open, where you will see your project title, your project index number, partner name, partner number, and before you can proceed further, you will need to indicate there your reporting period. Let's indicate the reporting period start date and end date. And here please note that for technical reasons it is not possible to change the end date of the reporting period. So please, before you save, double check if you have selected the right dates. We click Save, and all the remaining tabs of your partner report open. You will have to fill them all in before you can submit the report to the first level controller. In order to submit the report to the first level controller, you will see a button just next to the Save button. It is called Submit to the FLC, and when you have completed your report, you will be able to click on this button. Another button just next to it that will activate later on is also Submit to the lead partner. This button you will use when you will receive the certified report from your FLC, and you will be able to submit it to your lead partner. Let's now go through all the tabs of your partner report.
The first tab of your partner report is the Activities Summary tab. In this tab, you can describe the activities that you have carried out during the semester. This tab is very important for your first level controller because your first level controller can find here the information about the activities that you have carried out during the semester. Please note that the information you provide here will not be automatically transferred to the Joint Progress Report. Indeed, the Activity Summary tab of the Partner Report is not replacing the Joint Activity Summary of the Joint Progress Report. However, the lead partner can use the information that you provide here to fill in the Joint Progress Report. In the tab List of Contracts, you can list all the contracts used for the implementation of your project for which a contractual agreement exists. To add a contract in your partner report, you just need to click on the Add Contract tab. Then an automatic tab will open for you. As you can see, an automatic number is generated for your contract, indicating your partner number and the number of the contract. Here, several kinds of information should be provided. Some of them are mandatory. To see which information is mandatory, you can save and check. As you can see, these tabs are highlighted. So it is mandatory to indicate the supplier name, the contracted amount of your contract, excluding and including VAT, and if the contract is above or below the European threshold. If the contract is above the European threshold, please tick this box. Also, you should select the procedure applied for your contract. The list is provided and specific information on the different type of procedures for public procurement are listed in the tab below. Also, we ask you to indicate the type of contract, choosing the Works Services Supplies type. In case you want to provide some comments on your contract, a free field box is provided. The contracts you register in your partner report will be visible also in the following partner reports. You will not be able to edit the contracts that you have registered in previous report. However, in case you have signed amendments related to the contract listed in the list of contracts, you can insert these amendments in your list of contracts by clicking on the blue cross here. As you can see, this opens an amendment for your contract, and these amendments is also visible from the contract number, which is related to the previously reported contract. For your information, all the contracts above the EU threshold will be automatically transferred and included in the Joint Progress Report.
Hi, Vincenzo. So you will be here in this session to help me address a few questions that we received after our first video. A lot of questions about the list of contract, what do you include, what do you not include. We got a question from Erwin from Germany. The first question is about the staff contract. Do you upload it on the list of contract? What do you do?
Okay, for the staff contract, it's actually not necessary to upload the contracts on the list of contract because you have to think about this section as something that is used only for services that are externalized. So for external expertise and services, for costs that are reported under external expertise and services budget line. So for staff cost contract, not need to upload the contracts on the list of contracts.
Okay, on the same topic, we have a question also from Marisa from Spain. Do we need to list our FLC contract? We have the staff contract. What about the FLC? And what is maybe the rule? What do you put in the list of contract and what do you not put?
Yeah, sure. Answering the question, like, yes, the contract with the FLC should be included in the list of contract because it's a contract with an external provider, so it should be there.
Okay.
And then, like, answering a more broader question with sometimes like we're a bit puzzled what should be included in the list of contract, what should be not. As a general rule, basically all classical contracts or any written agreement, also an exchange of emails sometimes might be considered as a contract. While, for example, one-off purchases or oral agreement, they don't have to be included in the list of contract because they cannot be documented.
Okay, for example, if one partner has a stakeholder meeting and let's say they buy cookies for this stakeholder meeting, in this case, it seems to be a one-off purchase. And if I understand correctly what you're saying, there's no need in this case to report the contract because in the end there's no contract for the cookies. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a really good example. For example, yeah, if you have, as you say, the stakeholder meeting, you cross the road, you go to the supermarket and you buy some cookies, you don't need to include this in the list of contract. On the other hand, we can make also another example for if there is some travel and accommodation costs for that are bought on a website as a one-off purchase. In this case, there is no need to include like the contract, anything in the list of contract. But if you have a larger framework contract for travel and accommodation, covering all the costs for travel and accommodation of your staff, then in this case you have to include like the larger contract in the list of contract.
Okay, thank you very much. We also received some question about the FLC. For example, we have one partner. They say, if we don't have our FLC selected, what should we do? Should we fill in the partner report? Does it matter at all? From my perspective, I think that the first step should be really try to appoint your FLC as soon as possible because this is a really major step in the approval of your partner report. But to come back to this question, what do you think? What would the partner do?
We definitely recommend like to create your partner report, even if your FLC has not been contracted yet. And then when it has been contracted, you can include the contract of the FLC in the list of contract. But definitely, we suggest you like to contract the FLC as soon as possible. Yeah. But then in the meantime, you can already create your partner report. Yeah. So do not hesitate to start doing that if you haven't done that yet.
So basically, don't wait up. I mean, the priority is really to have your FLC contracted as soon as possible, because in the end, it will be the person or she will be the person in charge of certifying your partner report. But from what you say, I understand this doesn't mean that you should wait until you have your FLC to start compiling your partner reports. Basically, try to do these two things at the same time, where appoint your FLC as soon as possible, and in the process of that, make sure that all sections are filled in so you so you are able to really submit your partner report to the FLC as soon as it is updated. This is a case that we would like to avoid as much as possible when we usually see partner and progress report from the first progress report from our projects. We see that there's a lot of partner who don't report, and this is something we would like to avoid as much as possible. And don't waste time, really focus on appointing your FLC so you are about to deliver on time. And this is maybe one message that I wanted to pass also. So these are for the most delayed one. We have one question from one partner who is already seeing and stepping into the future. When is iOLF open to report cost on PR2? So already projecting themselves for the next reporting period.
Okay. Well, then it's going to be like 3 months. It's going to be when the reporting period ends, which means also like 3 months before submitting like the next progress report. Now I can't remember like the date by heart.
Yeah, maybe I think the partner reports are available for creation already, you can start working on your PR2 by now. What is not available is the joint progress report, which is then indeed, as you mentioned, sent from the Secretariat about 3 months before the end of the reporting period. So I don't see a lot of other questions. Maybe we can go into the next video, and then we'll see you after the second video.
The Expenditure tab contains two tables: List of Expenditure and Partner Expenditure breakdown per source of funding. In the List of Expenditure, you will list all your expenditure items. Here you have the overview, so you will see all the totals per budget line. You can see also what you have reported in previous reporting periods. To include your expenditure, you simply need to click on each budget line, and this will open a separate table where you will be able to add expenditure items. In this table, there's one field that is editable, which is the net revenue, where you can indicate the amount of the revenue that the project has generated for you. The partner expenditure breakdown per source of funding. This table, as you can see, is almost completely non-editable. It is pre-filled automatically the moment you start reporting expenditure. If you are a public partner, you can see that the partner contribution from public sources field is blocked. It's because the system will automatically attribute all your partner contribution to public sources. But in this case, if you have some contribution coming from private sources, there is this white field which is editable, and you can correct this information here. The opposite situation happens for private partners. The private sources field is blocked, and they can edit the public sources field. To report the expenditure incurred under staff costs budget line in your partner report, you need to go, first of all, in the Expenditure tab in your partner report. Then you need to click on the staff costs budget line. When you do that, the staff costs tab will open, and here you can add the expenditure incurred under staff costs budget line. To do that, just click on expenditure item here. As you see, some fields are open for you to fill in. Several fields are editable for you. For instance, let's imagine that we want to report the cost of our project coordinator. First of all, we can indicate the name of the employee, the description, the document reference, if any, and all the other information requested. In case your expenditure is not incurred in euro, you can select the currency. As you can see, an automatic exchange rate will be indicated in the exchange rate field. Let's imagine that this expenditure was incurred in euro, and let's indicate the amount for our project coordinator, Mr. Smith. If your VAT is recoverable, please tick this box, and the VAT amount will be editable for you. So now that we have filled some of the fields, let's save the information provided and check if all the mandatory fields have been completed. There are no errors on this page, then we did a good job. Let's check in the Expenditure tab what we have insert under staff costs budget line. As you can see, 2,000 euros, the salary of Mr. Smith, are indicated under staff cost budget line. This means that you can continue with this way of doing for all the different items under staff cost budget line, meaning you can add other expenditure item in your staff cost. As you can see, the Office and Administration budget line is automatically calculated as 15% of staff costs. To report the cost incurred under travel and accommodation budget line, you should proceed as we have seen under staff cost budget line. Indeed, you should go under Expenditure tab in your partner report, click on Travel and Accommodation budget line. Once you click on it, the Travel and Accommodation tab opens for you, and here you can add an item. Here you can include the information related to your expenditure in the different fields that are open for you. You should proceed as we have seen for staff cost budget line, but under travel and accommodation budget line, external expertise and services budget line, and equipment budget line, the date of payment is obligatory. So you need to indicate the date of payment for your expenditure. Also, under travel and accommodation budget line, another column is provided, the contract number. Here you can select the contract number related to your expenditure, if any. For instance, if you have a contract with a travel agency for the expenditure that you are reporting, please select the contract number from the drop-down list that is opening for you. Also, if you don't have any contract related to your expenditure, just select an A.
I have Anne, my colleague from the finance unit. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Antoine. Hi, everyone.
And Anne and I will discuss maybe the first part about the first budget line, which are staff costs and travel and accommodation. We receive actually a lot of questions from the audience, from yourselves. So it's really good to see that at least you're really involved into this, reactive, responsive. This is what we want. We'll not have the opportunity to address them all, of course, on stage, but we have our colleague busy behind their computer screens, typing on their keyboards to address the other ones. Let's get right into it. First of all, we have received a question related to staff cost. Do the partners need to indicate, for example, for the first semester, the full 6 months of staff cost in one line, or do they need to provide a breakdown per month?
Well, actually, the two options are possible. You can claim your staff costs month per month with your calculation for the month for each staff member. This is possible, and you have your line per staff per month. So you have several lines under your staff cost, and you can have quite a lot of lines. And in that case, you apply the percentage of the mission letter to each line. That means to each month of the staff. The other option would be possible also, like to make for the whole period, for the 6 month period, for example, the total of the staff cost for one staff member. Okay. So I have this project manager for the 6 months, that's what the cost. And to this global cost, you apply the percentage of the mission letter, right?
I see. It's interesting. You mentioned the mission letter, but then do the partners have to upload the staff contract, the mission letter? What exactly needs to be inside the staff section?
In iOLF, you do not need to upload the mission letter. You do not need to upload the contract. Actually, you cannot upload any documentation in iOLF. However, you will need this documentation. So you need to have this documentation.
Okay, so go outside of the system when you need to provide your FLC all the supporting documents, but this is not done through the platform, the online platform. Okay. We received a lot of questions, like very particular question, and I think these are the most interesting ones because they're very practical. Received a question about the date of invoice and the date of payment. Do they need to be included in the staff cost section?
For the staff cost, they are not mandatory. The date of payment, the date of invoice is not mandatory in staff cost. But if you have it, well, it's for one reason. It's because sometimes the payment of the salary will be done in the following months. Well, so it's not mandatory to complete it in the staff cost section. There is the box to complete it. So if you have it, you can put it.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the part of this section is about the revenues. We received one question. Can you maybe explain the revenues? What are they doing here? Do we do revenues in Interreg Europe? Maybe clarify this for our audience.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you noticed it. There's a column actually for revenue. In principle, there are no revenues during your project implementation in Interreg Europe. This box exists because it's necessary according to the regulation. So we needed to have it available in iOLF. But in principle, according to the program manual, you should not have any revenue in your project. Yeah. So you should not have any number to put in this
so
box.
It's very
basically
clear. There's nothing to put in this part of the section. Okay, thank you very much. So staff cost was the most concerning section, it seems, because we received a lot of questions. Travel and accommodation, not so much. We received a question rather similar. You told us that when reporting staff costs, the partners have two options, either divided by month or report them as a whole. What about travel and accommodation? We have a question from Akan from Sweden. He asked us, should we claim the expenditure on travel and accommodation costs separately or as a block in the section?
Well, actually, it will be the same. You have the possibility to do both. Either you claim for one participation in an event, you can claim the travel cost separately per line, one invoice for the flight, one invoice for the hotel, one invoice for the lunch, or if in your organization you have a general form where you can claim all your cost for a traveling to an event, then you can claim this form, like usually can be internally more relevant and maybe easier to claim for a travel. So however, you always need to provide all the details of the costs that are included in this form. Is it only flight? Is it also accommodation? Is it also lunch or dinner? This you need to provide all the details.
And this
but it can be only one line then.
Okay, well, so it's up to you whether you want to divide it or not. Anyway, in any case, the important thing to remember is every expense has to be detailed, has to be listed, whether it's flight ticket, whether it's train tickets, local transportation, no, not catering, but really accommodation, one night in a hotel. This has to be in the description for the FLC to understand and to trace it to the activities and the supporting documents, but later on to the lead partner and the JS when they do the joint progress report. Okay, let's close here with this second part, and let's dive into the last one of the block on reporting eligible expenditure in iOLF. We'll see you after to address the last budget line, external expertise and services, and also the equipment.
To report external expertise and services costs, you click on external expertise and services budget line. The dedicated page opens. You can see that here we pre-filled some information already. As in travel and accommodation budget line, there's this additional column where you can indicate the contract number if it exists. And there's a new column that will appear only in external expertise and in equipment budget lines. And this column is item number as planned in the application form. So here you can associate your expenditure with what was planned in the application form. When you do it in the description in the application form field, what you have provided as description will appear. You see it's not editable.
Also, the type of cost is pre-filled based on what you have put in the application form. You will have to provide all the remaining information as already indicated for staff costs and travel and accommodation budget lines. As you can see here, there was a cost that was declared including VAT, but we checked that VAT is recoverable. The field VAT amount, if recoverable, has become editable. We have indicated it, and the total amount declared was calculated automatically by the system. Let's add another expenditure item just as an example. The contract, we don't care, there was no contract. And for instance, let's see what we have to do when we need to report something that wasn't planned. There is the possibility of choosing NA in the column item number as planned in the application form. Then in the description, as you can see, the automatic text doesn't appear. And in the type of cost, we can choose to which category of costs our expenditure belongs. Let's say we have forgotten to plan costs for some regional dissemination event, so we can choose it here. We provide description. Let me just put nonsense here, indicate the date of payment. The amount, well, it was a small event, so let's say 1,000 euros. We save, and it's done, and we can see that the total amount appears in the currently reported tab. After you have added your external expertise and services expenditure in the list of expenditure, there is some more information to provide on it in the dedicated external expertise and services tab. Let's click on it. Here you can see the external expertise and services that were merged per item planned in the application form. Previously we saw that in the list of expenditure there were 2 lines reported for the organization of a stakeholder group meeting under item 3 of the application form. The 2 lines are automatically merged here. Their suppliers are merged, the total reported amount is merged. What we need to do here is provide a description, and the information on how to provide the description is indicated in the info bubble, because this description will be transferred also to the lead partner, to the joint progress report. So it is important that you read this information and apply the recommendations. For the unplanned item, you will also have to provide a description. Plus, as it was unplanned, there is a field that opens automatically where you will have to explain why this item is unplanned and justify the amount reported.
To report your expenditure incurred under the budget line equipment, we proceed exactly as we have seen for external expertise and services. From the Expenditure tab in your partner report, click on the equipment budget line, and then this section is open for you. A dedicated section for equipment is also provided in your partner report. So once you fill the information here, the information that you fill in is also automatically transferred to the Equipment tab.
Once you have correctly completed all the tabs of your partner report, you can see it because all the tabs are marked with a green tick sign. Also in the Summary tab, the Submit to the FLC button is now active. So we have properly filled in the partner report, and we can submit it to the FLC by clicking on this button. After you have submitted your partner report to your first level controller, you can see in your dashboard in the partner reports widget that its status has changed to submitted to FLC.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the webinar and the session. Anne is still here with me to help me go through the many questions that we have received about, first of all, the budget line expenditure, the budget line external expertise and services, equipment also, but also the relations with how do you submit to your FLC, what the FLC can do or cannot do. And this is something I would like also to focus on because this is an important part of the process. But let's first close everything on the budget lines. We have received a question from Milana from Slovenia. She says, I'm tendering a meeting. I want to organize a meeting, so I opened a tender. I don't have a contract as such. Only thing I have is an invoice. Should I report it into the list of contracts? Should I not report it? What to do with that?
That's interesting because in this case, there is a tender, there is a procedure that has been followed. So indeed, it is interesting to report it, to include it in the list of contract. So you will link your expenditure in the external expertise and services to the contract that is in the list of contract. There, this contract actually is not a written contract, but there was a procedure. So this procedure can be mentioned in the list of contracts, and the document will be the invoice. There may be some agreement or some discussion by email that can be interesting also, like to document. So yes, it's good.
All right, I see. Also, several questions are about very nitty-gritty details about the partner report sections and the columns and different jargon that we use. One I really like is the question which says, what do you mean exactly by item number in the application form? And this is indeed correct. When we receive the progress report, we ask for clarifications from the different partners, and we often refer to item number of the application form. For us, this has become normal. We understand, but we have to clarify that also with all of you. So what do we mean by that?
Yeah, you will get used to our way of writing probably, but yeah, at the beginning it can be a bit confusing. So to clarify, the item number is the item number from the application form. In your application form, you have a budget section, section E2, where there is a list of items for external expertise and services. And there all your items are listed per partner, per item. So when we refer to an item of the application forms, it's this item from the application form, from the joint application form.
Exactly. Right. Also a question about jargon. There is also in the partner report a column which is document reference number. I mean, this sounds a bit vague. Maybe you can actually clarify what we expect to see in this, if we expect to see anything at all or not.
This reference number is actually can be your internal reference number. So it's not mandatory. If you have an internal number for this documentation, you mention it. In the external expertise and services line tab, in iOLF, the only date that is mandatory is the date of payment of the invoice. This is mandatory. The date of the invoice is not mandatory. Anyway, if you have any doubt, use the check button that we mentioned before also. That's valid for any tab of the report, actually. Just complete your line and use the check button. And if there is some information missing, you will see it. It will be highlighted.
Okay, thank you, Anne. So first reflex, there will be a few, but like just to remember the first and the most important ones. When you submit contact details and when dealing with iOLF in general, always save and submit. This is the first reflex. A second one could be very practical, can be very helpful for you. In case you have questions, you you don't really know what to indicate in this specific column, use the check button. It is there for you. It will provide you with a lot of indications on what the Joint Secretariat expects. So it is here for you. It's your friend. Use it. Also, we received some questions about the submission to the first level controller. Can, for example, the lead partner see the report before the partner sends it to the first level controller?
Yeah, actually the lead partner cannot see the report before it is submitted to the first level controller. But what the lead partner can ask you, or what you can ask as lead partner, is your partners to send you the list of expenditure. It is possible in iOLF, in your partner report, to download your list of expenditure in an Excel file, and then you can send it to your lead partner, so that your lead partner is already informed about your spending plan, what are you claiming. So if they have any comments, it's good also like to check previously with the lead partner. But this is your internal management. So the lead partner will see your report once it's certified by the FLC.
Okay, so basically the partner is in charge of disclosing or when to disclose the partner report to the FLC when it clicks on submit to FLC. Or you can even share it with the lead partner through this download of the list of expenditure, for example, the list of contract, something that can also be interesting for your own, for example, personal accountant. You have the possibility to use this download list of expenditure in case you need to share it with your internal accountant, which is kind of more handy than to use through the iOLF platform. Okay, so this is where we close this section about reporting eligible expenditure in the different budget line. Now, let's close this last part of our webinar. Camille, welcome back. We try to explain to you the different parts, different section of the partner report. Let's assume that you have completed everything. Your check button doesn't indicate that there's anything left to do. But then still, your partner report is done. What happened next, Camille?
Well, if your report is done, then you need to submit it to the first level controller through the system, and then the first level controller will receive a notification that the report is ready to be checked, and will be able to check it through the system. Of course, invoices and supporting documents should be sent outside the system. And then the report will be certified again in the system. One thing to mention is that for countries where there is an extra step for validation, namely Spain and Portugal, the second validation step is also done through the system.
So you're talking about the validation body for Spanish and Portuguese partners.
Exactly.
Basically, after they have received, they still have to go through one other body which has to validate the expenditure.
Exactly, okay. And this is done again in the iOLF system.
Okay, so the whole process is streamlined through the platform, except for the supporting documents which have to be sent outside the system and directly to your first level controller. Great. Then, okay, you completed your partner report, you sent it to your FLC certifies your partner report. Are you done?
Well, no, not exactly. You need to do one more thing that is important, is to submit the report to your lead partner.
Okay.
It's an important step because sometimes we receive questions from partners saying, I don't understand, I got the certification from my first level controller, but still the lead partner cannot see my report. Well, you need to click on the button submit to the lead partner. Maybe something that is worth to mention here is that you have to do this step even if you're the lead partner. You need to click on the submit to lead partner button. That way the report is sent in the consolidation section where the lead partner will be able to include all reports into the joint progress report.
I see. We received a question from Josip from Croatia. Josip asked, when should I submit my partner report to the FLC?
Well, it's an interesting question. Unfortunately, I cannot answer because it really depends on your system, on the deadline set up internally with your lead partner, and maybe with your first level controller if you are coming from a country with a centralized system. So I would say that the deadline to submit the report to the first level controller is something you need to agree internally. The deadline to remember is that you need to submit the report to the GS, the Joint Progress Report, on 1st of May.
Yeah. And then this means that you need to allow sufficient time to complete all the different steps of the process. So by 1st of May, you have your partner report completed, you have it certified, you have it validated for the Spanish and Portuguese, you have it sent to your lead partner, and your lead partner has managed to compile it into the Joint Progress Report, which then has to be submitted to the Joint Secretariat by May the 1st. So you see all the steps of the process. So the general rule of thumb that I would give to you is do it as soon as you can. You have 3 months. Don't wait for the last minute really to start contracting your FLC, to start filling your partner report. The sooner the better. Thank you. Maybe I think this is about it when it comes to this partner reporting on iOLF webinar. Something interesting I like to do is maybe Camille, maybe you can give me your opinion about what has been said. You watched the videos, you answered some questions, you listened to our colleague answering them. What are the 3 main takeaways you would get from this webinar?
Well, I think the first thing you need to keep in mind and pay attention on is to be sure that your first level controller has access to iOLF, because you will soon submit the report to your first level controller, and obviously it's important that he or she has access to the system. One thing, because we also received some questions during the videos about this, just a reminder that for first level controllers from centralized system, it's easy because the controllers are already have access to the system. For first level controllers coming from decentralized system, then the access to iOLF is given by the national approbation body. So in case you notice that there is an issue that your first level controller doesn't have access to iOLF, then it's important to contact the national approbation body, because we cannot grant this access. It has to be done by the national approbation body. Then the second tip I would give is to use all the resources that are available.
And you have a lot.
Exactly. You can access all the tutorials you've seen. They are on the website. You can access webinars. This one will be available on the website. Former ones are already available. And even in iOLF, you have some hint and some tools to help you. You have info bubble where you can click and see what type of information needs to be provided. And you also have the check button, which is a super useful tool, because when there is something marked in red and you don't know where the problem is coming from,
like an exclamation mark,
exactly, something that prevents you from having the report finalized, but you don't know where this issue is coming from. Well, it's easy then, because you click on the check button and then you have a description of all the points that are not working properly or should be changed. So
pretty convenient.
Exactly. And then the last tip I would say, don't wait to the last minute. Follow the steps. Be organized, and don't wait until last minute, even if you have problems. If you don't know how to fix something, if you don't know something, you are not sure, you have some doubts, well, first contact your lead partner, because the lead partner is also here to help and support you. And then if the lead partner doesn't know the answer or needs to check something, he or she will contact us and we will be able to provide assistance. So we are here to support you, so don't hesitate and don't wait to ask for help if needed.
Okay, well, thanks a lot. There's a lot to do, but again, you're not alone and you have plenty of resources available to help you through this. We open this webinar with the first poll. What I would suggest is we close it with another one. So on your screen, you should have now the second poll showing up. I'll try to read it correctly this time. It's really tiny on my screen. What should you do first if you see a red exclamation mark, sounds familiar, on one of the tabs of your report? First of all, call your JS officers, call 911, or click on the check button. Again, it sounds familiar. We see that we're now currently collected all the responses. We have more than half of you who have voted yet. Again, let's go to 60, 78, yeah, getting there. Okay, 60, 5 more seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we close. And I'm very surprised to see that call 911 only got 1%. The correct answer was, of course, click first on the check button, and then if you cannot get an answer, contact your lead partner, and if the lead partner still cannot help you, he will contact us or she will contact us. So thank you very much for witnessing, for attending this webinar. Maybe a couple of things I would like to say before we say goodbye. The first one is, it has been mentioned several times, all the videos that you have seen online will and are actually already downloadable and watchable from the website. The webinar itself has been recorded. It will be published through the website, not immediately, but within next week, you should be able to see it and to watch it again and to show it to your friends and family. If you have questions, we are about to close this webinar and the live discussion right now, but there were a lot of questions on the chat. We were not able to answer them all. So we'll close the live discussion, but we'll still be behind the scenes answering all the questions who didn't get an answer. What did we try to do with this webinar? We really tried to help you. Basically, it was a chance for you to get familiar with the different sections of the partner report. We tried to guide you through all of them and answer your most burning questions. Now, the rest is in your hand. It's up to you. You have less than 3 months to complete all the steps that we have listed to be able to report the first partner report and also first progress report by May the 1st. So May the 1st be with you. Thank you.